Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Radha Nata Radha Radha Rata Radhe Jaya Radha Nata Radha Radha Nata Radhe Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Gaurahari 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 Jaya Gaurahari Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya 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 Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari. Hare Krishna devotees, thank you for coming on this journey today. We are going to, we are traveling to, let's see where we're traveling to today. We are going to Detroit. And we're going back in time also. It's June 15th, 1956. So before we embark on that journey, let's just offer some prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Caitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathavitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijanaha Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Saha Gana Lalita Sri Vishakam Svichamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshware Rishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So tighten your seatbelts. We are about to take off. With the mind, of course. We're going to Detroit, and it's the 15th of June 1976, and it's the morning. It's in the morning, and Prabhupada is taking a walk. Where is he walking? To the Bell Isle. It's called the Bell Isle, and it's near a park. And in that park, there's some deer, there's some buck, and there's some antlered white buck as well. Can you see these animals? And they are in the park now. And we're following Srila Prabhupada. And normally on his morning walk, he says something, right? So as they are walking along, the question comes up, because it's sunny, it's morning, the sun is rising. So, which is closer to the earth, the sun or the moon? And this is what the little debate goes on about. And well, they say that it is said that Sunday is before Monday. So does that necessarily mean that the sun is closer than the moon? So this is what they are trying to establish. And Prabhupada says, yes, everything is ordered. Like, everything is numbered sometimes. If you seated, for example, then you are number 1, you number 2, you number 3, you number 4, like that. So that order is there. And therefore he says that the sun also has to be closer. That is why it is Sunday first and Monday the day after, like that. So also with attached, associated with this moon story is the question of whether the astronauts actually went to the moon. You must have heard about this controversy theory that Prabhupada says that there's no proof that they went there. And he brought this up in relation to students at the university. Sometimes they would say, yes, we speak about God, but who's seen God? Then the answer that Prabhupada would give to that was, and even Ambarish Maharaj would use the same theory, that okay, we've heard, we've read that they've been to the moon, but we didn't see it. Then the students would say, but they brought back rocks. But where did the rocks come from? Who can say for certain? Who was there to witness that the rocks actually came from the moon? And then Prabhupada would say, in the same way, you seem to have implicit faith in the words of the newspapers, the reporters and all of that, of science. But you don't have faith in the Vedas. You should have the same faith that you have in the Vedas, because that is more bona fide. Why? Because it is there's evidence. The evidence, it is witnessed by, they are concurring. the Guru, the Sadhu, and the Skruti, the scriptures. They are all saying the same thing. So why should we doubt? So that is what the Vedic philosophy is about. We have to have some faith, and Prabhupada is saying if you have faith, then from there you can develop in your Krishna consciousness. The whole idea is to develop this Krishna consciousness because we simply want to escape suffering. So we spoke about the rocks. It could be any rock, but yet you're saying, no, that rock came from the moon, because they're saying so, but we don't have proof. Then while they were walking, somebody mentioned that there's a German, I think it was, who was this? It was Krishna Prabhu, I think. He says that there's a German that I came across. He says that he is the grandson of Bhaktisiddhanta Swami. And he says, I don't believe this. I don't think that is possible. He has doubts about it. And then Srila Prabhupada confirmed that yes, that his spiritual master did have two German god brothers. One was Bhakti Siddhanta, and the other one was Sadananda, or Ban something, right? One was Sadananda, and one was the name starting with the word Ban, but he didn't remember that. So the 2 points we've established so far, that we have to have implicit faith in the Vedas, and secondly that they're talking about the relationship between Prabhupada and his spiritual master and other people. So it shows that we are all connected in some way as well. Why? Because Krishna is the eternal Father. So we should all have the same goal, and that is try to establish ourselves in Krishna consciousness. And then of course, as they're walking along, then Ambarish Maharaj was there as well, and he ran ahead because they're coming to the car, and he went to open the door for Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada found this amusing. He says, see this man, he comes from such a rich family, but look at his humility. He is running ahead and he is opening the door for this Indian man dressed in saffron cloth, and yet he could own the palace. But this is the faith that he is displaying. This is the trust that he has in the scriptures. This is the trust that he has in the spiritual master. And what does that say for us? We have to develop that same faith. Thereafter, they continued the morning program, and on this particular day, there was an initiation ceremony. There were 18 first initiates and 18 second initiations taking place. Pradyumna conducted the fire yagya, and the room was decorated with festoons and flags and flowers around the Vyasasang. So this is what happens at our initiation ceremonies as well. And see, this happened in 1976 already, and we're still following the tradition today. What happens when we have initiation ceremonies? Isn't the place is nicely decorated? The Havan Kund has got flowers around it and fruits around it. Everybody's in a happy mood, everybody's jovial, everybody's chanting, everybody's dancing, right? So during this initiation ceremony, as you know, you've witnessed so many times, it is necessary to recite the Brahma Samhita, verses from the Brahma Samhita. And Pradyumna is the one who carries a trunk full of books. He's got all the books that you possibly would want. But on this particular day, he didn't have the Brahma Samhita, and Prabhupada was a little annoyed. This Pradyumna has got a trunk full of books, but now we need the Brahma Samhita, we need the verses from that, and it doesn't have that book. But all the other books he got. So this means the arrangement was not that precise. So what does that tell us? When we trying to arrange something, we have to be very careful in our planning, make sure that we don't omit any details that might hinder the proceedings. And then Prabhupada is saying, he travels all over with all the books, and yet he didn't think about bringing the Brahma Samhita. But then, Prabhupada is so kind, he's so learned, he didn't need the book, he chanted the 26 verses, and he also recited the beginning verses of the Caitanya Charitamrita. So, what happens during the initiation ceremony? There was this bathing ceremony that took place as well of the deities of Gaur Nitai, and there was a blast of conch shells and the ringing of bells. So it was a celebration, like how Rabindra Swarup too during Janamastami. He made it a lively celebration with resounding kirtan. Prabhupada instructed, now we come to the to another aspect. They discussing letters. They try reading letters to Prabhupada, right? And the topic of Madras comes up because Prabhupada had been there earlier in the year, and Prabhupada had instructed Bhava Bhakti and Savanandana, Sarva Savanandana, right? He had instructed them to look for a suitable site to build a temple. So all this discussion is going on this in this Detroit in the morning section of in the morning program. And why do they want to build a temple? This was Prabhupada's mission, right? He was establishing temples all over, and he also wanted to have one in Madras as well. So he instructed Mahamsa Swami. They have a foundation stone in Nellore, and he said that he must take up that foundation stone and send it to Madras. Bhava Bhakti reported that he had found some suitable sites in Madras. So the instruction was given earlier in the year, and the report was now being given by Bhava Bhakti. Yes, I have found some sites, and also we have collected more than 2,000 lakh rupees. But we don't have it with us. We sent it to Bombay, because in Bombay they were trying to complete that project, right? So they were using the funds there. And then he was therefore asking that if they could return that money, then we can go ahead with the purchasing of this land. But Prabhupada said yes, they can return that money, but not immediately, because we want the projects in Mumbai to be complete, and then we will be able to build start a new project. Let's complete what we're doing, and then we'll start a new project. So that also applies to us. We should think when we want to do something, make sure we complete one task, accomplish it, make sure it's perfect, and then go on to the next one. Don't start many projects and leave them incomplete. Although Bhava Bhuti said he was prepared to dedicate his life to the project, Srila Prabhupada wanted to complete the Bombay and Hyderabad projects. Bhava Bhuti was very enthusiastic. He said, I got this instruction to get land in Madras and to build a temple. I am going to give my life to this. But Prabhupada said, be patient. Let's finish the Bombay and Hyderabad projects first. then also we should understand that you need the manpower, and they didn't have manpower at that stage to run so many projects. So we too, we should make sure that when we embark on a project, make sure that we have sufficient hands, sufficient Lakshmi, and make adequate arrangements so that we can see the project through to completion. And Prabhupada also brought up this point. He said that you all are all foreigners there in Madras. What about the locals? We need to preach more and get the locals involved, because they are the ones going to run the project. It's no good having foreigners there because they may not be there all the time. So if the locals run it, then it's all the better, then it is sustainable. Prabhupada declared that there were now 3 GBCs in India, and therefore they should consult with each other and make a program for further development. We now come to the next topic that was discussed, and that is about books. It was reported that many of the libraries and universities in Russia were wanting the books, but they could not pay for the books because there was a problem with the exchange rate, right? They had a different monetary system, and therefore they wanted the books, but their currency would not work. They had to convert it to dollars or something like that, and they didn't have that facility. So the only way they could pay was to exchange books. So if they ordered books from the Hare Krishnas, then they would pay back with their books, whatever books they had, to the equivalent value. Prabhupada approved of this. He said it's fine as long as you find out in India which books are fast sellers, which books are in demand, and then we can give them our books, and we can bring those books, sell them, and then we can get the cash for it in that way. Just to facilitate them having the books, not to say that, okay, you don't have the money, you can't get the book. Right? We have to make some plan, like they were announcing the other day here on Srila Prabhupada's appearance day. They said that even if you can't pay at once for your Srimad Bhagavatam sets, then they can make an arrangement for you. So it's all coming from here. Prabhupada make that arrangement for them as well, exchange of books. So there's one devotee by the name of Lekas Ravanti Dasi, and she invited Mr. George Gullen, president of the Wayne State University, to have an interview to meet Srila Prabhupada and interview him, and this happened in the afternoon. So Prabhupada is always very direct in his dealings, and it is evident here when he spoke to Mr. Gullen. He immediately started the conversation, went straight into it. He posed the notion that the body and the soul are different, and he started straight into it, right, Krishna? And he started the conversation by asking, "What do you think about that? Right? Is there any truth? Do you believe this, that the soul and the body are different? The soul and the material matter is different?" He thus engaged the listener's mind and intelligence while leading him into Krishna consciousness. So it was straight into that. Then he went on to say that people are very interested in matter, but completely ignorant of the spiritual. We find that is true these days as well, isn't it? Not all parents, but most parents are concerned with the academic advancement of their children. And I have noticed this often when it's exam time, or when it's the children have work to do. Then parents also they don't make that, although it's just an hour. Sisi Radha Radhana Tiki Jai. They seem to give less importance to the spiritual aspect than they concentrate mainly on the academia, and they say no, the children are busy, they have this to do, they have to learn for the exams, they have to prepare for assignments and whatnot, and there's no balance between the two. So Prabhupada is emphasizing that there should be a balance, and Mr. Gallen is in agreement that people do this. They tend to neglect the spiritual aspect, and they concentrate more on the academic aspect. But we know that the academic aspect is necessary for our sustenance, but it will all end with this lifetime. Like, for example, if you're a doctor, you have that qualification of a doctor, you studied, you went to university and you excelled, but at the end of your journey, everybody must die, even everybody must leave their bodies, even the doctor. When they leave the bodies, then all of that knowledge is lost. But with spiritual knowledge, it stays with you, and when you come back, if you come back, then you start off from where you left off. It's not as though it is all lost. But with your academic education, like if you're a doctor, then when you come back, nobody's going to remember, okay, this child was a doctor, so there's no need for him to go to school and go to university and medical school again. Let's just, because he was a doctor in the previous life, he has the qualification already, he'll become a doctor. No, it doesn't work like that. But with the spiritual knowledge, wherever you left off, it is said that you start off from that point again. For example, if you're reading Bhagavad Gita and you completed the first chapter, if you happen to come back and if you are studying Bhagavad Gita, it doesn't mean you must go back and start from chapter 1. You continue from chapter 2. That is the difference. And we have to somehow make people aware of this so that they don't give emphasis only to the academic education, but they should also give importance to the spiritual life as well. So this Mr. Gullen is admitting that the soul transmigrates, and he believed in life after death. So now we are drawing parallels. If Mr. Gullen is admitting this, that means there are commonalities between Krishna consciousness and other beliefs. And this is important for us to do this, because we interact with people coming from different backgrounds. And if we are just heavy-handed and emphasize only Krishna consciousness and don't look for parallels, then we might not attract the people as we would if we relate to what they have and then dovetail it with what we have. And then in that way we look for common ground. So the next topic that was discussed, Sattva Rupa informed Srila Prabhupada and Mr. Gullen that Wayne State University had already taken standing orders. Right? So they are distributing the books far and wide. They are taking, they have standing orders. And we heard the other day as well that we also have inroads into some of the bookshops, like exclusive books, and they are stocking our books there. Every response, Prabhupada is now on this, during the discussion on books, he is emphasizing this point. Every responsible person must learn this science so that the opportunity of human being must be utilized. So we've got this form, this human form. We must know what to do with it. We have to realize, well, what do we do with it, right? We know that it is like a journey, right? There's birth and there's death. In between, what do? We have to use it as a tool to prepare for the next lifetime, where we want to transcend to the spiritual world where there's eternal joy and bliss and no more suffering. This is what Prabhupada is saying in a nutshell. And then he quotes that verse, Yad Yad Achariti Shrestras, that whatever great men do, common men follow. And therefore he said that we also should set a good example so that others can admire or appreciate the lifestyle that we lead, and in that way they can also be attracted to follow a pure lifestyle. And he's explaining to Mr. Gullen that we teach students how to become God conscious. So other religions also do the same thing, but their program is for a specific time. For example, people may go to church on Sunday, and then during the week there's not much, there may be some programs, but not so much emphasis as it is on a Sunday. But Prabhupada is saying we teach students how to become God conscious, and it is an ongoing process. Like you started from this morning, rising early, you attended Mangal Aarti, then you attending the class, and then in that way there's a class in the morning, there's a class in the evening. Whole day you occupied in Krishna consciousness, and if you are occupied in that way, there's very little chance that you will forget Krishna, and that is our goal. Remember Krishna and never forget him. Now there's a report on preaching in South Africa. Riddha Dasa, Jagat Guru Swami were sent to South Africa, and they are reporting that they distributed 5,000 books in Johannesburg. Then they moved to Durban. We heard how Partha Sarthidas Goswami Maharaj was describing the other day on Janamastami, on Prabhupada's appearance day, how they stayed at La Mercy, and how they met Professor Olivier. He was the rector of the university at the time. The funny thing is, or not funny, but it seemed a bit odd that Mr. Olivier was of European origin, but he was in charge, he was the rector of a university for Indians. And he was very favorable to the cultural aspect of the Indians, and he helped to set up the Hindu Studies department at the university. There was also a newspaper that was being published at the time, and there were two articles in this newspaper that were discussed. The one was that we have to be aware of bogus gurus. So this topic gets some elaboration, where Prabhupada is saying that there are people who call themselves miracle workers, or they call themselves God-men. And these God-men are exploiting the people through fraudulent practices. They attract this Dr. Abraham T. Kapoor then wanted to expose these people. And what did he do? He held a magic show. And he showed how, you can manifest things, how you can have all these things that these magicians do. He showed how it can be done, and it seems like it's mystical, but it's not mystical, it's just tricks. And he was saying that these bogus gurus also behave in the same way. They learn these tricks and they then try to influence the unsuspecting public, and they mislead them altogether. And Prabhupada was saying that this has to be stopped. Dr. Abraham, however, was admitted that he was afraid for his life because God men don't want to be exposed, and they associate with thugs and those kind of people. So there was a good chance that they would want to eliminate him, kill him, so that they don't get exposed. And then he says that, Gandhi was a good man and they assassinated him. He was such a great man, so there's a very good chance that I can get assassinated too. So they specify here that one such God-man produced ash, concealing the objects inside his coat, and we've seen. I went to some place the other day. I think it was one of the prayer shops, and yes, it was Gorima's, I think. And I saw there's a little tablet there, and if you crush that tablet, it produces ash. It's an ash tablet. So I was thinking that I can do that too. If I just hold it between my fingers, and then I can say, see, ash. So they're talking about that here. And the thing is that we have to be very, very careful about, we're supposed to be hearing all very well, but with that hearing there must be logic as well. We must do our own investigation, and we must make sure there is sufficient evidence before we embark on anything. Before we mentioned earlier that there should be 3 evidences: the Guru, the Sadhu, and the Skruti. So if you have that those evidence from those 3 areas, then you can safely say that that is the truth. But if you don't have enough evidence, then you, even in a court of law, the evidence is not admitted if there is no witness. The second article had to do, that appeared in the newspaper, which they had sent to Prabhupada and they were reading to him, was about Ratha Yatra celebrations. And we know that we have become famous for the Ratha Yatra here. And Prabhupada was encouraging them to, because it was happening all over everywhere else in the world, and he said, yes, you all should go ahead and try and have it here in Durban as well. So Prabhupada, how does he describe these godmen? He says, they are rascal men creating magic jugglery. And he says, in Krishna's time, there was also such a rascal, and his name was Pondraka. And what did Krishna do? Cut off his head. So we don't go cutting off anybody's head. We just don't affiliate to what they are saying. We try and use logic. Prabhupada wanted Pushta Krishna Maharaj to do it, but they were saying that, we don't have enough manpower, we don't have enough devotees here. And Prabhupada's response to that was, you may say that you have only 2 Brahmanas here in Durban, but you don't need 2 Brahmanas. Even 1 is sufficient. Not even 1, half. And he says you can do it because you are not the doer, Krishna is the doer. All we have to do is make the attempt, and Krishna will help us to complete whatever we are embarking on. He says like this, quoting now, 1, half a Brahmana will do. And he said they must plan it for January, because that is when it is summer here, and that is exactly what they did. Then the next topic that came up, which is very interesting and pertinent to our times, we're talking about 1976, and now we are in 2024, and Prabhupada referred to the Vedic planetarium, and he gave Ambarish Maharaj the instruction that they should construct this Vedic planetarium, and it was to be in Mayapur. This instruction was given then, so many years ago, and now it is almost coming to fruition. So later earlier in that evening, as time went on, then Prabhupada went and sat under the trees on the river bank, and he got somebody to read Bhagavad Gita to him, chapter 2, and then it started raining. Then they moved to the veranda, and the devotees sat around Prabhupada. So you are in Detroit now. You are in the veranda, and you can see all the devotees sitting around Prabhupada and listening to what he's saying. I hope so. So the next heading that I've got here, this is a 20-page reading, this chapter 6 on Detroit. So I've summarized it so that we don't go over time, so that we can try and complete in the time that is available to us. So perplexity. He says we should overcome, we can easily overcome perplexities of material life simply by approaching a spiritual master. And then he poses the question to them. He says, you discuss amongst yourself, right? Perplexities, he's making the statement that perplexities can be overcome through the instructions of a spiritual master. Then he says, okay, you discuss. Do you think you have a spiritual master? And do you have perplexities? And of course they came up with the answer. They said, yes, we have overcome our perplexities, so therefore you are our spiritual master. That is why we have overcome. We have no perplexities, so obviously it is because of you. Right? And they glorified Prabhupada in that way. Then he talks about miserly. What does miserly mean? Miserly means that we have to use our intelligence to attain knowledge so that we can we don't quit this world like cats and dogs without understanding the science of self-realization. If we don't have knowledge, then we will not have understanding of the science of self-realization. That means what is our purpose here on this earth, and we should understand that this is not our goal to be here. Our goal is to, this place is the what shall I say, you know, when people do long jump, then they have a springboard. This is the springboard for us to prepare ourselves to land in the spiritual world. And Prabhupada is emphasizing again that the human form is the most reliable to solve the problems of life. And we have this human form. So we are very fortunate in that we are able to solve the problems of life right now. So, what are problems of life? He defines it. He says, people think about how to get more money and how to get sense gratification. Then he says to Ambarish Maharaj, well, you Americans, you'll have all the money. Has it solved your problem? Because Ambarish Maharaj comes from the Ford family, and they were very rich from those days. Ambarish Maharaj answered, no, it has multiplied the problems. Right? So Prabhupada agrees with him. He says, right, this is an intelligent boy. He knows that he has donated the money, used the money in advancing Krishna consciousness, but money to advance your own sensual pleasures and desires, it doesn't solve any problem, just creates more problem. Then there's this devotee, her name is Lakshas Ravanti. Lakshas Ravanti, right? She brought in 2 Catholic priests and they met with Srila Prabhupada and they were having a discussion. Again, Srila Prabhupada went straight into it. He said, we have to train people to be sinless. Otherwise, they will not have experience of God. He is clearly stating that sin and God consciousness don't go together. If you want to be God conscious, you have to be sinless. And he cites the example, he gives one example of such a situation. He says, animal killer cannot understand God. This is the greatest sinful activity. Now we come to charity. When he's talking to these priests, their concern is that there are people who are poor, there are people who are disabled, people who are needy, unemployed and stuff like that. And Prabhupada says, well, we give them help, but that is not so important. He says, we're concentrating on those who are not handicapped. They are rotting without education. They are keeping themselves in fourth class. If you have no physical impediment, then why are you a fourth class person? In other words, you don't have any spiritual knowledge and you're not aspiring to solve the perplexities of life. He says, this is what we have to do. We have to target the people who are well and who are able. They must uplift themselves from fourth class, they must come to first class. First class people. We have to make those people, we have to make everyone who is born as human being first class. That is the greatest charity. So in other words, what he's talking about? Preaching. Like how all of you are doing. Most of you are doing, you go to universities, you go out on Harinam. That is preaching, and that is what we have to do. We make the attempt. Some people will listen, some people will not listen, some people will hear, some people will not understand, but that is not our problem. As long as we're doing our duty, as long as we make the effort, the result is up to Krishna. And of course, their situation, whether they can or they can't receive it, but we do the duty, our duty, and we make sure that we distribute the knowledge. Whether they accept or not, it's up to the people concerned. Let us create a peaceful man. So what is the object of that knowledge? We want to create peace in the world. We want to create a peaceful man. Which religion doesn't want to create a peaceful man? Which religion is saying that, yes, you should engage in violence, you should engage in criminal activities? No religion. They're all talking about peace. And this is the common thread that Prabhupada is finding between the priests that he is interacting with and Krishna consciousness. And then he introduces another aspect about one's inclination. Not everybody will have an intellectual inclination. Not everybody will be inclined to study. Some people are strong and powerful, and they should be Kshatriyas. So very subtly, he brings in the various levels and the categories that people fall into. For example, those that are intellectual will naturally become Brahmanas. Those who are strong and able will fall into the group of Kshatriyas. Those who have business acumen will be Vaisyas, and of course those who can work with their hands, they are the laborers to assist the other three classes. So it's not like it's the caste system or anything. It is a natural inclination that not everybody, I can't do your work, I may be able to do it, but I should do what I do best rather than trying to do something that somebody else does and not concentrate on what my potential is. And then when they're talking about helping the poor, that everybody should be equal, Prabhupada says that that is in the imagination. It won't happen. There must always be a richer class, a middle class, and a poorer class. No one can change that. And we notice that happens, isn't it? as much as you can try to, the thing that comes to mind is this NHI thing where they're trying to get equal medical treatment for everybody. I was talking to my doctor the other day. He was saying it's not likely to happen very soon because they don't have the money to do it. You need lots of money for that. And who's going to support that? Money won't change anything, but good intelligence can solve the problem of food. This is from Prabhupada now. He's saying you can have a lot of money, but how long will that money last? But if you use your intelligence, that famous quote that we learnt in school, that if you give somebody a cake, they can eat for that day only. Cake will get finished and they'll be hungry again. But if you teach them to bake, then they can have cake whenever they want. Of course, they use another example. I don't like that one. I prefer this about the cake. A man is really poor who is in ignorance. So they're talking about uplifting the poor people. And Prabhupada is saying, yes, we want to uplift the poor, but defining poor means that those who don't have knowledge and those who don't have spiritual acumen, those who are ignorant, they are the ones who are the poorest, and they are the ones that we should help. How? By giving them knowledge. Give them knowledge how? Distribute the books and explain the books to them so that they can attain knowledge. And the starting point is, we say to everybody, don't be implicated in sinful activities. If you're implicated in sinful activities, you will not be able to advance in God consciousness. Prabhupada emphasizes that. Then the priests say to him, well, I agree with what you're saying, but you people have an advantage because in the East, these things are more prevalent. People concentrate more on these things. They are more aware of culture and all of that. Prabhupada says, no, peaceful does not mean Eastern or Western. Anyone can train. It doesn't mean that if you're coming from the West, then you can't be peaceful, and only those people who are coming from the East, they can be peaceful because they're coming from a peaceful background. He says anybody can be trained. It's all about the intellect and all about understanding. He says it may be appreciated more in India, but it is not Eastern. People may appreciate peace and non-violence and all of that in India, but that does not mean that nobody else can observe that. It's all about your mindset. It's all about your understanding. It's all about knowing that we have a common Father who is Krishna, and therefore we are all brothers and sisters. So how to do this? He says, train one group. Start off with one group, maybe 2 or 3 people. And that's what Prabhupada did, right? He had a few disciples, and then he sent those disciples out to other areas. And in that way, the whole of the world is now Krishna conscious. And as Mahaprabhu, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted, every town and village. Then they departed. Prabhupada made sure that he got his disciples to give them garlands and to give them Mahaprasad, and they left. And he says to them also, they're talking about disciples, that Prabhupada has disciples, but how can we make disciples? And Prabhupada says, all you have to do is adhere to the principles, and then you can make the whole world your disciple, as long as you are pure and sincere. If you are careful to conduct yourself in a way that you don't break any principles, then naturally you will attract people. This is what Prabhupada is saying. You become peaceful, and everyone can become peaceful, not for East or West. So we're coming to the end of our journey now. The point that I want want to emphasize two or three things that we need to understand. Firstly, that if we are sinful, we cannot be God conscious. Secondly, that this peacefulness and appreciation for peace is not from the East, it is for everybody. Everybody can become peaceful. And the third point is that by you setting a very good example, you don't have to go and physically preach. By people observing you, like look at Ravindra Swarup, how nicely he's dressed, he's got his dhoti, he's got his kurta, he's got his tilak, and they say this is a godly person. You know, I want to be peaceful like him too. Let me try it. He doesn't have to say to them, look, you must go and wear your dhoti, wear a kurta and put tilak and all of that. They just by seeing him, they say, yeah, let's see, why, let's investigate, let's try to be like him as well. So that is preaching. It's not for the East or the West or anybody. Anybody can do it. All you have to do is set your mind to it. So now we are at the end of the morning walk. We are at the end of our visit to Detroit. Any questions and any comments, please? Gopal Raj Prabhu, are you awake? Hare Krishna Prabhu, what do you think of this sinful activity and God consciousness? Never mind. Yeah, so Prabhupada said, I'll repeat, he said, if you are sinful, no chance of being God conscious. So, well, we are all, everybody here is already in that situation where they're not being sinful. That is why you are here. Otherwise you would not be here. But now the problem is, we have to take it out to those others. There are 1, 2, 3, like 10 people here. But if you go to the mall, there are throngs of people there. And they need this knowledge. Otherwise, they will be in ignorance. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.